How many of you, growing up, heard your mother or another woman call herself fat? What you may or may not know is that behavior in women, such as asking the age-old question, "Do these jeans make me look fat?" often stems from the unrealistic and hypersexualized images of women in media. I'm first going to lead you through the early impacts of exposing young girls to hypersexualized female images. Next, show you what continued exposure leads to in female adults, explain to you the impacts on men and the rest of society, and finally introduce some simple everyday solutions that may be able to change the current situation as it stands. From a young age, girls are exposed to sexualized images. From their toys to the cartoons they watch on TV, there's really no escape. Melissa Henson, Director of Communications and Public Education for the Parents Television Council, states that kids today are being sexualized at younger and younger ages. The early sexualization of young girls and exposure to hypersexualized images leads to trends of unhealthy habits in children and teens. Just to give you an example, one year my cousin put on a bathing suit and walked out to the living room and asked my aunt, "Does this make me look fat?" Her age at the time? 8. According to the National Association of Anorexia Nervosa and Associated Disorders, 81% of 10-year-olds are afraid of being fat, and 42% of 1st to 3rd grade girls want to be thinner. Moving on to toys, the classic Barbie doll that portrays the perfect all-American girl also exposes girls to an unrealistic body type and hypersexualized image. We can see that if Barbie were an actual person, she'd be anorexic, putting her at risk for osteoporosis, amenorrhea, and low heart rate. She wouldn't be able to lift her head, do any heavy lifting, and due to her extremely small feet and ankles, she'd have to walk on all fours. Her body is so impossible to achieve that the average model or woman suffering from anorexia nervosa wouldn't even come close to her dimensions. For example, only about 1 in 3 million would have Barbie's waist. Furthermore, the danger doesn't end at children. Due to the early exposure and continued exposure, these images have a lasting impact on adult women as well. According to the American Psychological Association, the narrow representation of women in media is linked with low self-esteem, negative mood, and depressive symptoms among adolescent girls and women. In the United States, 20 million women suffer from a clinically significant eating disorder sometime in their life, as stated on nationaleatingdisorders.org. Now, you may be wondering, why should I care? How does this impact me? Well, there's a broader impact for other members of society as well. Links from narrow representation of women have been found to fewer women in careers in STEM, increased demand for child pornography, difficulty for men to find a partner or to enjoy intimacy with a female partner, as well as sexual harassment and assault. Just to drive this home to you, in a study done by Margot Main, PhD, 58% of college men would rape when the wording was changed to force women to have sex, and 83.5% of college men argue that some women look like they are asking to be raped. Tangentially, Mary Koss released a report that found that 1 in 4 women will experience rape or attempted rape in their lifetime. So now, what are the solutions? I'm not going to ask you to stop women from being sexy. As Erin Hatton, PhD from the University of Buffalo states, we don't necessarily think it's a problem for women to be portrayed as sexy, but we do think it is problematic when nearly all images of women depict them not simply as sexy women, but as passive objects for someone else's sexual pleasure. So if we don't stop them from being sexy, what can we do? The American Psychological Association offers some solutions, such as teaching how to view and analyze media in schools, as well as comprehensive sex ed programs, participation in extracurriculars and church groups, and education and action of parents, and girl empowerment groups. Now that I have shown you the impacts of unrealistic and hypersexualized images of women in media for girls, women, men, and society as a whole, I leave you with this quote from Dr. Seuss. Unless someone like you cares an awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not.